Hey everybody, we're working on lesson 12 right now. This is a pretty exciting lesson because this actually gives us the ability to control our sprites on the screen. Up until this point, we've controlled our sprites with the code. We've made them move on the screen. You can make them flip. You can make them get bigger and smaller. You can do all these different things. But right now, what it was if you click run, whatever you programmed it to do, it was going to do. Well, now we're going to add keyboard inputs to it. And so that's a very exciting thing because it's really the first step in helping us get to actually building a game where we're going to be controlling our sprites on the screen using the keyboard. So moving on here to Bubble 2. Here we have lesson 12, keyboard input, Bubble 2, prediction. So we're going to make a prediction here. The key is down. The key down block is the first of a new set of blocks that will get us input from the user. This is the first step in our road to actually making games. See if you can predict what the key down block works. You're not going to write any code here, so take a look at this code. All right, so we don't have any sprites that are created, so it's not creating and drawing any sprites over here. The function draw, it's going to draw a white background, so we know that the background is going to stay white. Text is going to be in the center. Text align center, center. Center means center X centered and center Y centered, so it's right in the middle. That's what that means. And our text size is 100, so it's going to be a big text. And the text is going to be key down space. 200, 200. So we're going to draw something in the middle here. What do you think that's going to be? We run our program here. Right, it's false if the space bar is not pressed down. If I press the space bar down, it goes to true. So this is actually a Boolean statement. Key down space is false right now because the space bar is not down. I press it down and it becomes true. So that's how that code actually works. Moving on, bubble 3. All right. In bubble 3 here, changing sprites. You saw in the last level, the key down returns true while you're holding the key down, and false while the key is not pressed down. The input for key down command is the name of the key you want to check in quotes. Some examples are X, up, and space. We can use key down as an input to an if statement to change our animations based on key presses. So we're asked to do this. Run the code and try pressing the P and the H keys. Look inside the if statement to see how the code works. Okay, so we have our sprites created. It's set at a giraffe when it first draws. Okay, then we come down here and we see inside of the draw loop, it's redrawing the background as white. And if the key down is H, then the sprite's animation should change to a hippo. So if we press the H key, it changes to a hippo. If we press the P key, it changes to a pig. The R key shouldn't do anything right now because there's nothing inside of this if statement. Okay, so add a block inside the third if statement to change the animation to a different animal. So we're going to come up here, get our set animation block, drag that over there, and it's called sprite. And we want to set the animation to probably rabbit for R, makes sense to me. And we reset and run it. Now if I press R, it changes to a rabbit. P, it changes to a pig. H, it changes to a hippo. When you use the set animation, it keeps the new animation until you change it again. Can you change the code so the sprite will automatically go back to a giraffe when you're not holding one of the keys down? Well, that's going to require what's called an if-then statement, or if-else statement, rather. Sorry, if-else. So if the key down is H, then it changes to hippo. Or else, we're going to drag this back here, or else we want it to be a giraffe, right? So if the key down H, then we want it to be a hippo, or else we want it to be a giraffe. And let's see how that works. Reset and we run it. So it's a giraffe. We press down the H key and I'm holding it now. And it stays as a hippo. I let go of it. It changes back to a giraffe. What happens about the P key? So press and hold the P. It's a pig. I let go. It's a giraffe. I hit the R key. It's a rabbit. I let go. It's a giraffe. Okay, so that's changing it, and it's else statement here. If this is down, it's a hippo, or else it's a giraffe. Automatically changes all of these things back to a giraffe. Okay, and we'll finish that. Move on to bubble 4. All right, so we can also use these keys to move characters. That's probably the main way we're going to be using them in our video games, is to help us move characters around, because that's the essence of video games, is we need to have things moving on the screen, and we need to be in control of stuff. We control it with the keyboard or with the mouse, or with your touch screen on your phone. So we can use all of those things to control our characters in code.org. So let's see here. Add an if statement inside your draw loop. Check whether the right arrow key has been pressed down, and add code inside the conditional to move the sprite to the right if the arrow is down. So right now, we run the program. We have a ladybug. It's standing still. It's not moving. Okay, that's what this code here does. It creates the variable of bug at 200, 200, which is right in the middle of the screen, and then it sets the animation as a ladybug. All right, so that's what we have for our code. And we have a whole bunch of stuff in here that draws a draw loop. We have a background is white, which gives us our white background. And we have a draw sprite. Okay, so what we need to do, it tells us to add an if statement. We're going to add the if statement here, which is under control. So we add an if statement right here where it tells us to, if the right arrow is pressed. So if we go up here to world, and we find the key down, if key down, and we want right. Okay, so if the key down right, so if the right arrow is down, that's what that's saying. So if we hold that right arrow key down, then what do we want to have happen? Well, we want our bug to move to the right. How do we make our bug move to the right? We have to change its x coordinate, and it's called bug, so it's bug.x equals, and we go to our math, and our x needs to get bigger to go to the right. Remember, x0 is over here, x400 is over here. If we want the bug to move this way, we have to be increasing its x. So we're going to use an addition operator here. Put that adding sign in there, and we're going to say, using the counter pattern, that's bug.x equals bug.x plus a number, and we'll make it move fairly quickly at, say, 4. So we'll try that and see. We reset and run the program, and we hit the right arrow, and the bug moves to the right. Okay, so that's exactly what we needed to do there. We got our bug moving based on our keyboard input. All right, it's a little slow today. So here's our fish back again. Remember our aquarium we had with our fish? The blue fish was fastest, the orange was second, and the green fish was the slowest here. So we created these fish, the orange fish, blue fish, green fish. Up here they're created and their animations are set. And then down here in the draw loop, we have the counter pattern, which moves them to the left. Again, x equals x minus a number is going to make that x be smaller, so it makes them move from the right over to the left on the screen. All right, so we're going to add an if statement to check. Oh, let's see here. Where are we? Fish with arrows, fish are back. We make the fish move left only when the left arrow key is pressed down. So right now, as soon as we hit run, they're moving. And we can't stop them. We can't make them move any faster or anything else like that. So we want to get a little bit of control over these things where they only move if. So we'll put an if statement. And we're going to have the world if key down. It's asking us if the left key is pressed down. We're going to have them move to the left. So this is the line of code that moves the orange fish to the left. So we put that inside the statement. This is the line of code that moves the blue fish to the left. So we're going to put that in there too. And this is the line of code that moves the green fish to the left. We can only have one if statement for the key down left in here. We're not putting multiple if key down left, then the orange fish, and then another if key down left. No, you put everything that you want to have happen when that left arrow key is down goes inside of this one if key down left statement. And we're going to reset and run that. And now we hit the left arrow, they move, we let up, it stays still, we hit it again, it moves. We can hold it down and they can keep moving, and we let go of them and they stop moving. It's exactly what we wanted to have happen. So we've gained control of those fish using that if statement. And moving on to bubble 6 now. Here's our gears back, okay? Remember we had our gears that were moving? Okay, with the red gear moving clockwise, the blue moving counterclockwise, and the green moving clockwise. So they're all working as a system there. Here it creates our blue gear, our green gear, our red gear, etc. These are the things that rotate them. Again, there, your blue gear is a minus. That's what's making it move, rotate counterclockwise. The red and the green gear are being added to, and that's what makes them move clockwise. So that's our code that's moving those things. But here we want to add an if statement that uses a key down input for the statement to check whether the space key is pressed. So here we're going to drag this if statement in here. Again, it goes inside of the draw loop. And we're going to check to see for the space bar. So if the key down, and we're going to select space here. It's our space bar. Then we want the blue gear to move. And we want the green gear to move. And we want the red gear to move. So we put all three of those inside of that one statement. We hit reset and we run it again. And now they're not moving unless I hit the space bar. And when I hit the space bar, it turns the machine on and starts them moving again. All right. Finish that. Moving in all directions. All right. Again, when you have a game, you want your characters to be able to move in all directions. You don't necessarily just want to hit right and have it move to the right. You got to be able to move it back to the left or move it up or down. And it's not doing any of those things right now because we only wrote the code to make it go to the right. And here's the key down right, and that moves that bug to the right. All right, so here's our basic keyboard control that's going to get it to move in all 4 directions. So we're going to add 3 if statements, 1 for each arrow. So the right, left, up, and down arrows. Don't forget to include a comment for each if statement. So each if statement should move the sprite in the direction of the arrow. Make sure you consider the X or Y axis of movement and whether you need to increase or decrease the value. So again, in order to get it to move right, we need to have it move to the right here, okay? So it says make sure we add comments. So we're gonna add a comment here, and this will just put move to the left, and we're gonna put an if statement here. And if the key down left, and again, to get our bug to move to the left, we need to make its X get smaller. We'll show our grid here. Remember our X0 is over here, X400 is over here, so we need the X to get smaller. So we're going to use this line of code, only instead of +4, we're going to do -4. So the easiest way to do that is to click and drag, and we highlight that, and we do Control-C to copy it. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to do Control-V, and we're going to paste that line of code. Now, if we just left it like this, then whenever we press the right key, it's going to move to the right. Whenever we press the left key, it's going to move to the right again because we're still adding 4. So the easiest way, click on Show Text, and we want to, instead of +4, we want to delete that and change that to a -4. And we'll show our blocks again. And now what you can see is we have, if the key down the right, we're adding to the X. If the key down left, we're subtracting. So if we run this now, we hit the right arrow, it moves to the right. We hit the left arrow, our bug moves to the left. All right, and we need to keep going. So we're going to add to get it going in all 4 directions. All right, so now we need to go up. We'll say move up. Click on a comment there. Move up. And let's add another comment in here. Move down. All right. So now we need to add an if statement in here again for moving up. And we need to add world here. So if key down up, in this case, we want to move up, right? Now we need to change the sprites what? It's Y. X moves its left to right, Y goes up and down. So if bug.y, and in order to get the Y to go up, we need to actually subtract the number, right? Because Y0 is up at the top, Y400 is down at the bottom. So if we want it to go upwards, we need to make its Y get smaller and smaller and smaller. So we're going to have if bug.y is equal to bug.y minus, and I'm going to stick with 4 for all of these because it doesn't make sense to have your bug go super fast in one direction and really slow back the other way, or up super fast and down super slow, or vice versa. It just makes it easier to control your characters when they're always moving in the same direction at the same velocity for this type of movement. Now, we'll get into jumping and other things with simulated gravity as you go further and further into your gaming programming. But for now, let's just keep everything be the same. And so if I just take and copy this code here, because this is going to move us up, and I do Control C, let's try to simplify things, and we'll just copy and paste that code again, Control C, Control V, and we're going to change that from up to down. And now in order to go down, we need to make Y get bigger. So we're going to click over here, and delete that, and put a plus in instead of a minus. So now we're adding to the Y, and that's going to make it go back down. So we've added comments. Let's hit reset and run. And let's see how our program works. We hit right arrow, it moves to the right. I hit the left arrow, it goes to the left. I hit the up arrow, our bug goes up, and the down arrow, and it goes down. If I hit the up and right, it's going to move both directions. Right. I have full control over my ladybug now, where I can move her anywhere on the screen. Bubble 8 introduces you in the animation tab here to editing images. Now, I need to warn you of this because a lot of kids will spend and waste a tremendous amount of time drawing in the animation tab instead of doing their code that they need to do. So don't get sucked into that black hole of the animation tab where you're just focused on drawing your images or deleting or, erasing little areas around there, because you can't add PNGs to code.org, unfortunately, with those blank backgrounds. So, you're better off sticking with the sprites that they have. But if you wanted to add in your own sprites, you may have to delete some background around it, and it can be tremendously time consuming. I'm not worried about your animations right now, so don't waste too much time in the animation tab. But you do need to be able to flip and rotate your images here. So right now with our ladybug, it's always facing the one direction, and you have it go up and down and left and right, and it's still always facing that one direction. Well, that's not how things work in the real world, so we're going to try to make it a little bit more realistic by using the flip and rotate buttons. And we're going to be changing our animations each time we press an arrow key. So let's go up here. No, I need to unsubmit that project in order to be able to edit it here. Okay. Make sure we're starting this over again here from scratch. All right, so over here you see our code and our animation tab. If we click on the animation tab, you'll see that we have a bee, a fly, and a ladybug. We're using the ladybug, so let's just stick with our ladybug here. But I'm going to click on that, and then this button here is our duplicate. Let me slide this over so that we can see everything a little bit better. All right, so our copy button here. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to copy it again, and we're going to copy it one more time. So we have 4 different ladybug pictures over here. Anybody see that? Now, here's a very important thing for you to do. We need to change the names of these things so that they are fitting and describing what direction they're moving. Okay, so we're going to click over here, and I'm going to call this ladybug right. And this one here, I'm going to use this button here to flip it vertically so it's facing to the left. And I will call her Ladybug Left. And this one, I'm going to click over here on this button and I'm going to rotate it so that she's facing up. And I will change her name to Ladybug Up. And then this one, we can rotate it so it's facing down. Or we can flip it so it's going that way. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to change its name to down so that we know the direction that each of these things is moving. Now remember, we changed this plain ladybug here to ladybug right. That's going to have to come into play here as well, because now you see there's no regular ladybug, so we're going to select ladybug right for our initial animation that's drawn. Okay, and then as we come down here, we're going to update the values. Oh no, where'd all that stuff go? So I'll tell you what, we'll go back here to this level. I guess when I reset it, we started over from scratch, but this should be saved over here. Copy and paste is your friend. Remember that. So, oh, it did not save all of that. Okay. Let me go to my version history. Look at this version here. There's my right, left, up, and down movement. That's the version that I want. So I'm going to restore that version. And now I'm going to just take and click and drag. Oh, come on. All right, let's try this right here. I'm going to click and drag that. I'm going to do Control C to copy. Now come over here. Bubble 9. Hopefully, let me do this. Oh, there it is now. Okay. So we got this stuff back here. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to, when the key down right, got rid of my animations. All right, let's do this again. Copy it 3 times. Change its name here. Ladybug right. We're going to flip her. Left. Rotate. Back up. Hopefully this will work for us now. Select, make her ladybug right to start out. Here's my key down right code. So I'm going to come over here, select my sprites, and I'm going to set the bug's animation Again, I need to change it because the name of the sprite is bug, so it's bug.setAnimation, and we're going to set it as ladybug right when the right key is down. And then we're going to just copy that, paste it in there. We're going to do when the left arrow is down, ladybug left. Making sense to everybody? Paste that in. When the up arrow is down, we're going to set the bug animation to ladybug up. And when the down arrow is down, ladybug down. Now let's see. If we run this program, we should see our ladybug and press to the right. Goes to the right. Press to the left. Its animation switches. So it's going left and right, and up and down. And it looks a little more realistic as our ladybug is moving in these different directions. Its animation is changing with it. All right. So that's all I have for this lesson. Hopefully you were able to follow along. Good luck with it. And go ahead and try these lesson extras here. For this, there's a cool one with the bee and the fly where you get to change their animations. It'll give you a little more practice with rotating those sprites around and making them work. So that's all I have for you. Good luck and keep on programming.